We found a new thrift store. This is Sarah's Treasures, a gift, thrift, and cat adoption center. And my daughter and I stopped by on the day we spent out thrifting to celebrate my birthday. This is the third video in that batch because I found so much wonderful stuff when we're out together. And in the couple of weeks since then, I have been back to poking my head in the thrift store and not finding anything that's even worth taking my camera out of my pocket for. But we did find some fun stuff at this shop. I think the thrift stores that support animal shelters tend to get some neater donations. Maybe people are more thoughtful of what they donate, or maybe the shops are just more thoughtful of what they put out on the shelf. I don't know. But they had some fun stuff to look at. And here in the corner of the display case, they had a vintage model car kit that I'm kind of glad my son wasn't with me because he totally would have wanted the Boot Hill Express purse, and I'm assuming that is collectible because it was expensive. So hopefully whoever knows what it is and values it will pop their head into the thrift store and find it. I was looking at the cross-stitch supplies and kits because this store had things well sorted and labeled. And this is going to be a little bit awkward because I was going through the box while it was still there on the shelf. They had some nice kits. That is the saddest looking little leopard. And I liked, not looking at the leopard there, but looking behind them at those rabbits. I liked the rabbits. Oh, well, now I'm disappointed in myself because was going to purchase this, then realized that I couldn't tell what the floss and fabric were in it for, but yeah, there's an arrow on the tag. So that probably was the floss and fabric for the bunnies. Oops. It's amazing what you can look at and not manage to see until later. And if it wasn't for making these thrifting videos, I never would have figured that out. They had some neat old kits. And most of them were animal themed. I don't know if that's Animal Lovers by Animal Cross Stitch and Needlework and then donated. This one was right up my alley. I like that butterfly, but I talked myself out of it. And that was the floss for the bunnies. I almost but not quite regret that because I have plenty of stuff to stitch. I really do. They were selling floss in individual floss away bags, which I don't know, unless I was looking for a particular color, I don't think I would buy it that way. And these variegated flosses, those aren't DMC. I don't think they're over dyed. If you were picking flosses for a specific project, maybe. Otherwise, that doesn't really make sense to me. I'll wait for the thrift stores that sell it in a big bag. This mother and baby were just so sweet. I'm always attracted to mother and child scene and women at pianos. I've got one that I want to cross stitch and another framed print up in my sewing room. I don't play the piano. I'm not particularly interested in pianos, but there is something about these scenes that draws me, and this is just so pretty. I couldn't figure out at first what it was. I thought that maybe it was ink, but there's a tag on the back, which is super helpful and points out that that is wood burning or pyrography. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Anyway, however you pronounce it, that was just a neat piece, and my daughter took that home. It is now hanging in her office. And if she decides she gets sick of it, I've got first dibs before it goes back to the thrift store. I love this old jewelry box. I like old paintings, and the idea of having something like that on the top of the jewelry box really appealed to me. I don't have enough jewelry to justify a jewelry box, but silly little details. This one was cute too. And then we got this box on the highest shelf that says adults only. And yes, curiosity got the best of me. I looked. Trust me, there was nothing remotely exciting in there or all that scandalous. Now we're on to Goodwill, and I like these gnomes, or maybe they're elves, but I kind of want them to be gnomes because I know so many of my friends like gnomes. They were a candle holder, and this is another one of those. If I was excited about Christmas decorations, this is the type I would go for. I actually Googled this piano when I got home because it was on a shelf way over my head, and I knew it was vintage barware, but couldn't quite figure it out. And I really wanted to know what song it's played, but that poor music box was so overwhelmed. It plays Tea for Two. There are 6 shot glasses up there on the top, and what I didn't see because it was over my head, there's also a decanter bottle in there. So when you lift out the bottle, I guess it plays the music. I don't know why I'm attracted to old vintage barware, since I don't drink. The craft supplies were spread over a couple of end caps, which made it really easy to miss things. I don't know if I did wind up finding all of it. There wasn't any cross stitch, sadly. There's always a lot of scrapbooking, a lot of wooden rubber stamps, and those plastic knitting looms. The world is so full of those. I think I've got a complete set in my sewing room that I thought the boys would give it a try, but they never did, and I made a pair of socks just to prove that it could be done because I'm kind of crazy like that. Oh, there was a cross stitch kit. Little tiny Christmas ornament, so we'll almost say that that doesn't count. And they had, this is the first time I have seen a diamond painting kit in the thrift store. Unopened, and I thought about it for a minute, and I am really not at all motivated to try diamond painting, even when I have a super inexpensive kit right there in my hand. Hopefully the person who wants to try it will find it, and I assume if you're into diamond painting that would be a good find. Here's an old grandma's flower garden hexie quilt. Lots of pretty vintage fabrics. It was tied with red yarn. And you can tell it's seen a lot of love over the years, but I'm not one of those who feels that old quilts need to look absolutely pristine like they were never used, because we all have old quilts that were tucked away in boxes so that they didn't get hurt. And those are the quilts that nobody in the family knows what they were or who made them because there were no stories told about them. This little piggy confused me because those blue flowers, those are Corningware, right? But I don't think Corningware made piggy banks. And that is another bit of art that I know is Corningware. And I was getting myself thoroughly confused until I picked one up and read the label, and yeah, those decorations used are under license granted by the Corning Glassworks. So I guess that makes them Corningware piggy banks not made out of Corningware or something. They were cute, and if I'd stood there long enough, I probably would have talked myself into bringing one home. My last Floss 2 video, I was talking about how I want to stitch all the patterns with 2 birds. The moon like a flower in heaven's high bower. I really now am kind of wishing I had brought those birds home. I was tempted by them at the time, but I hadn't really thought through until later why I needed them. Thanks for watching. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle, and I'll be back with you with more videos soon. Did you see anything you needed to own?